Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to Monday's edition of our show. Today is Monday, April 7th. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado, and today we are breaking down what went down over the weekend in Colorado as the A's were able to secure their first series victory of 2025, the first of many to come. We will also, at the back half of today's show, give a preview of what to expect with their next series, which is set to begin tonight, 7:05, right up in Sacramento. A's return home from chilly Denver to welcome in the San Diego Padres for a 3-game series. We'll break it down just like we've been doing with each series so far during the 2025 season. We are excited to jump in and talk everything A's baseball as they have a tough schedule in terms of welcoming in top-tier opponents into Sutter Health Park. We're very excited and fortunate to be able to jump in and discuss. So with that, let's talk about those A's as they are only a game out of a wild card spot. Pump the brakes. We've got 152 ball games still to go. We ain't going to be talking playoff talk anywhere near prior to anything of the dog days of summer, mid to late August. Anyway, with that, just poking a little fun, something I saw on X, formerly known as Twitter. The excitement is building early. Maybe a little bit of irony or satire there too as well. Nevertheless, we're kidding around here. Obviously, it's going to be little funny, finicky things like that along the way, especially early in the baseball year, as there's a lot of excitement with the games being in full swing. You always got to remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So with that, let's hit it to the opening music and then jump right into what went down against the Rockies and what is to look ahead for against the Padres. Let's go.
Soundstripe.
Your Monday with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Just as a reminder, check us out on our social media platforms on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter at A's Day Baseball, our YouTube channel at A's Day Podcast, and to be an official subscriber of A's Day, be sure to check us out on our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game ticket giveaways, and so much more as we are able to grow this platform together. All right, with that, let's jump right into what went down over the 3-game series in Denver, Colorado, as the A's headed out to the snowy Rocky Mountains to take on the Rockies and right the ship amidst a 4-game losing streak, coming off getting swept at home by the Cubs and losing the final cap of the 4-game series of the Mariners. They wanted to turn it around, knowing it is early, but nevertheless, this is a series they should be able to do some damage in. Game 1 starters were Osvaldo Bido versus Ryan Feltner. Like I mentioned, it was a snow game. I believe it was 38 degrees at first pitch, probably felt colder. Would love to hear from A's players what that experience was like. Seemed like it was the return of the 2-out rally. Is that a theme for these A's? After strikeouts by Butler and Rooker to start the game, J.J. Bleday had got a single and followed by Shea Langoliers, who did the same. Then, with 2 outs, a clutch RBI single by Sodi. Tyler Soderstrom has the A's up 1-0 with an RBI single. Rockies would quickly tie it on a Ryan McMahon sacrifice fly in the bottom of the inning, tying the game at 1. Beto and Feltner went on to trade zeros until the top of the fourth, where Jacob Wilson continues his hot start to 2025 as he mashed a home run to left center to make it 2-1 A's. Again, those Rockies, they answered. An RBI double by Kyle Farmer, making it 2-2. And that's all Beto would allow in another solid performance. He went 5 innings, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Moving right along, the A's would go on to take the lead once again. After a single by Sodi, Miguel Andujar ripped a double to left field. He advanced to third on a throwing error, and Soderstrom would score due to that same error. Now it is 3-2 A's. Justin Sterner and Ferguson came in and put up zeros in the 6th and the 7th. On would come Leclerc for the 8th, and his struggles would continue, although there were some signs of improvement from Shore as compared to his previous outings. With 1 out, Kyle Farmer doubled. He went on to strike out Jacob Stallings. And with 2 outs, Leclerc almost getting out of the woods. He allowed an RBI single to Jordan Beck to tie the game at 3 before recording the 3rd out of the inning. Both teams would trade zeros in the 9th. Time for some free baseball in this first game of the series at Coors Field. Blown opportunity for the A's in the 10th. And if you aren't familiar, there is a runner placed on second base to kick off extra innings with nobody out. So the advantage does seem to be for the offense to at least get that first runner home. Always like to say that if you can get that second run across, you have an advantage over that home team. Well, they didn't get anything. As I had mentioned, runner was on second. He did advance to third on a wild pitch. Butler reached with an infield sinker, so now the A's are set up with first and third, no one out. Well, of course, what do you think happened? Rooker chops a ball to third base, grounds into a fielder's choice. Schumann was out at home. Blade then would ground into a double play. A's got nothing. Seemed like it was going to be tough to come out victorious in this one. But the A's showcased some clutch pitching in the bottom of the 10th. On came Noah Murdoch. He got Hunter Goodman to fly out to center. After intentional walks to Tolia, struck out Freeman. Another intentional walk to Martini. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Tie ball game. Game on the line. Strikes out Jordan Beck with the bases loaded. Murdoch pumps his fist. And another big moment, he's getting through and making quality pitches in high leverage situations. Really cool to see for Noah Murdoch. A's finally would break through in the 11th. After a Langoliers walk, Sodi hit a slow ground out to first base to move the runners to second and third. And then Miguel Andujar had a quality at-bat, lined out to the second base, and it was time for a little bit more 2-out magic. As shortstop, Jacob Wilson continues to show the clutch factor. He lines a 2-run single to right field, making it 5-3. Gio Urshela would add an insurance one, ripping an RBI double to right. Now it's 6-3 A's. On to the bottom of the 11th for Miller time. Slams the door again for his second save of the season. 6-3 A's in 11 is your final. Formula: Beto, Sterner, Ferguson, Leclerc, Murdoch to Miller. I thought Osvaldo Beto was absolutely solid. He continues to strand runners, leaving runners on base. He is dealing with some traffic. He did cut the walks in half, so that was definitely an encouraging sign. And he actually had one more strikeout, too, as well. He was more around the zone consistently, and I think he did a good job keeping that Rockies lineup at bay. Next step is just to work a little bit longer. That's all. You know, those first 2 outings, you worked through 5. I know the first one was 5+. Today was more traditional 5. Looking for him to get into that 6th inning just to help the bullpen however possible. But nevertheless, he's nasty with that arsenal, and I think he's really fit the bill so far. Looking forward to seeing him continue to build to have that consistent 2025 and be a mainstay in the rotation. He's looked good so far. Just really happy to see that. This was the Jacob Wilson game. He had 2 go-ahead hits in this game. He hit the 2-run home run, or he hit the home run in the 4th to give him a 2-1 lead. Then he had the 2-run single in the 11th, like I had just mentioned, to give them the 5-3 lead, upon which they would never look back from. It's very exciting that Wilson, their number 1 prospect coming in, he's been given the opportunity to be the everyday shortstop. You were just looking for him to showcase some of his ability and his talent. To me, he's been the most valuable hitter on this team so far in terms of coming through runners in scoring position. He is definitely entrenched, will emerge as a AL Rookie of the Year candidate if he keeps this up for sure. So excited. Couldn't happen to a much nicer guy for sure. So glad to see things are going well for Jacob Wilson early in his professional career at the big league level. He's hitting the ball well to all fields, and he's putting the ball in play. Up until this point, he hasn't struck out yet. And I think we're at this point in the series was up around 50 plate appearances, so that's impressive to do, especially in today's modern day pitching, and with how accepted strikeouts seem to be. That's impressive to me that he has such good bat to ball skills to be able to put it in play, shorten up with 2 strikes, and not get defeated, or at least give the team a chance. Even putting the ball on the ground or the air, you never know what can happen, even when you're not getting hits, which he has been getting a lot of, especially in big moments. With that, there is the opportunity. Like I mentioned, A's win 6-3. They have an opportunity to win their first series of the year on Saturday, the following day. And let's kick right to Game 2 of this series as J.P. Sears is toeing the slab against German Marquez, a very interesting pitching matchup. A's playing from behind in this one. After trading zeros in the first, the Rockies struck first with 2 outs. They had a little 2-out rally of their own. Farmer hit a double, and then Sean Bouchard blasted off to left field for a 2-run homer. 2-0 Rockies at this point. Rockies would add on in the third. Another missed opportunity for them, and this game really turned on its head at this point. Rockies had the bases loaded, nobody out in the third. It seemed like they were really going to explode offensively in this game. Wheels really could have fallen off the bus here for the A's. However, J.P. Sears, he just bared down and went to work and was a pitcher. He had Hunter Goodman grounded to a double play with the bases loaded. A run did score on that, so it's 3-0, and then he struck out Chris Bryant looking. Could have really been a nightmare inning for the A's. Kept them at bay, left all of that only down 3-0. To me, that was the game-changing moment of this game and potentially of this series. We'll talk about that in a little bit. A's would eventually get on the board after a leadoff single by Lawrence Butler, eventually who would come around after a throwing error by catcher Hunter Goodman. Butler would try to advance to third on a wild pitch. He was successful. Ball got thrown away down the left field line. He got up and scored home with no relay return throw from the left fielder. Now it is 3-1. Game would remain 3-1 until the top of the 6th, and the A's rally was on. Bleday walked, Langoliers walked, Soderstrom hit a double, which Bleday would score on. Now it's 3-2, which would eventually knock out Marquez, and now was on to facing Jimmy Herget, who was on to face Jacob Wilson as Willie Clutch continues as he had another go-ahead hit with a 2-run double. Now it is 4-3 A's. Next inning in the 7th, the A's flashed a little power and flexed their muscle a little bit as they had a pair of 2-run homers, one by Brent Rooker, his 4th of the year, and one by Shank Langoliers, which is his 3rd of the early campaign. Ryan McMahon would go on to homer off of Tyler Ferguson in the 8th to trim the deficit to 7-4, but that would be all for this game as Miller time once again made its way to Coors Field in the 9th. He had 2 more strikeouts. He looks absolutely dominant. Locks down his 3rd save of the year as the A's win 7-4 and win their first series of 2025. So I thought J.P. Sears was absolutely massive in this one. Like I had mentioned a little earlier ago, that 3rd inning really made or break this game, and it really made or broke this series too as well. Rockies were in a situation, they're up 2, they have the bases loaded, nobody out, they're threatening for much more to have that, potentially that put-away inning early in this game. And I know it's tough to say that in a place like Coors Field. However, on a chillier day like this early in the year, it is possible, if the Rockies end that inning up 5, maybe 6-0, who knows how out of hand that inning could have gone. That could have dictated this game, and who knows, the Rockies might have gone on and won this series. So I do think it was that close, especially we'll talk about what happened in Game 3 in a little bit, and but nevertheless I think that was huge. I think J.P. Sears really just became a pitcher in that situation and pitched to the moment. He knew if he can get out of this with 1 run or less, he's going to give his team every opportunity to win this ball game, and that's exactly what happened. He got Goodman to ground to a double play, 1 run scored there, and he absolutely diced up Chris Bryant, got him looking to get out of that inning, and from then on the A's just went to work, chipped away that next inning, getting just on the board, Then they had their explosive offensive outburst in the 6th inning. So definitely loving these team efforts so far, but really wanted to shout out JP Sears because that's a prime example of pitching. Not letting the moment get too big for you and trying to do too much and strike everyone out. He just went to work, pitched to contact. I mean, he went 6 in the 3rd inning. He gave up 6 hits, 3 runs allowed, 2 walks. He only had 2 strikeouts. So he let his defense work, and that's why he's lasting longer in the games. And I think I'll take that line every game, especially the way he can navigate with runners on base. I think he really clutched up, and I think he's a big reason why the A's went on to win this series for sure. I mean, without that inning, who knows how the rest of it unfolds, and we could be having a different type of podcast today. So, that was huge. I think he really settled in after that. He got that confidence. His secondary pitches really started working, and I think he did a good job keeping the Rockies hitters off balance. So just wanted to give a hats off to him. And Jacob Wilson, he just keeps staying clutch. Another go-ahead hit for him. His 3rd of the series with that clutch go-ahead 2-run double. He increased his hit streak to 9 games at this point to start the season, which tied his father, Jack Wilson, who also had a 9-game hitting streak to starting from opening day for the first 9 games of the season. So we will see if he would be able to keep that hitting streak alive and say to his father, anything you can do, I can do better. On to Game 3, Joey Estes taking the hill versus Chase Dollander, the Rockies' number 1 prospect, I believe. He is making his MLB debut on this sunny Sunday afternoon at Coors Field. Well, the A's welcomed Dollander to the MLB right away as Tyler Soderstrom stroked a 2-run homer, a Sody pop, his 4th of the year. A's up early 2-0 in the first, but the Rockies would fight right back. Brenton Doyle led off the bottom of the first with a solo home run of his own to make it 2-1. Then Ezekiel Tovar would follow with a single. Estes, after Kang, McMahon, and Goodman, allowed an RBI 2-out single by Chris Bryant. After one, we're tied 2-2. This was followed up by a rough inning by Estes. After retiring the leadoff hitter, he hit and walked the next 2 batters before allowing a 2-run double by Brenton Doyle and an RBI double by Ezekiel Tovar. Now, in the second, it is 5-2 Rockies. Rockies then made it 6-2 in the 3rd on a Freeman sacrifice fly. Thought the A's were about to cook it up in the 4th. Soderstrom led off with a single, followed by an infield Jacob Wilson single. Andujar followed with an RBI single. Now it is 6-3. During that play, Wilson was thrown out at 3rd, trying to go 1st to 3rd. That was the first out of the inning. Urshela would walk, and then the A's would leave 1st and 2nd, 1 out, stranded. K's followed by Johnny Pareda and Max Muncy. 3 would be all Estes would last as another tough performance in his early campaign. 3 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 6 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. And it was on to Mitch Spence, who plays an important role in this pitching rotation as he is summoned to eat innings and preserved bullpen arms. Ends up going 4 in the 3rd innings pitched, only allowing 3 runs and 7 strikeouts. Definitely had a solid performance as he kept the A's in the game and bridged the bullpen to solely need to cover the last remaining 5 outs. So that's definitely something that's going to be something of note for later in the month, but later in the year too as well. Saving those bullpen bullet arms. Rocks did get one off of Spence in the 4th to make it 7-3 on an RBI single by Ryan McMahon. In the 5th, our home run prediction once again rang true as Lawrence Butler hits his first home run of the year off of Dollander. Now it's 7-4 after 5. Would remain that score until the 8th when the Rockies went to work and ended up putting this one away with a 5-run inning. Doyle with another RBI single, an absolute monster of a game, followed by a 2-run single by Tovar and a 2-run single by Goodman. Now it's 12-4 Rockies. Running away in the laugher, A's muster 1 in the 9th on a Butler RBI single. But that was that. Rockies win, but the A's win the series. Rockies win the series finale 12-5. So, A's did win the series. 10 straight games for them as a team hitting at least a home run. That is a franchise record to start a season from opening day, starting the year with 10 straight games with a homer. So definitely an impressive feat for them. Coming into Monday's games, I do think I believe they were fourth in all of MLB in team home runs with 16. So you'd like to see if that power surge continues, especially now they are going to have a full week at home in Sacramento. We'll see if those bats really get going. It was of note, Estes, unfortunately, he struggled once again. He continues to. Now he's up to a 15.43 ERA. Seems like it's really taxing the bullpen, especially if this theme continues. You got to be lasting more than 3-4 innings. That is going to be tough every fifth day to be relying on bullpen arms to get to the finish line. You do hope it's just something he needs to figure out mechanically. Just pitching with more intent. Just seems like he's having difficulty really pitching ahead and pitching with conviction. He only threw 50% of first pitch strike rate. It's definitely well below average. 9 out of 18 of his at-bats faced, he started with strike one. So that's a problem. He definitely needs to pick it up to continue to stay in the rotation. Because his counterpart, who he beat out for the final spot in the rotation, was Mitch Spence, who I thought pitched wonderfully out of the bullpen today. Like I say, he went 4 1/3 innings, 3 runs allowed, and 7 strikeouts. Definitely gave the A's every opportunity to stay in that game until the 8th, and I do think that was an impressive performance. Unfortunately, in the losing performance, but nevertheless, that's good to see he saved some of those other arms from being overused early. So now, it is hard to sweep, so definitely nothing to hang your hat on. A's did have an opportunity to win this game and be back in this game until that 8th inning. But like I mentioned, you go back to that, I think it was the 4th inning, where they could have had first and third, nobody out. Wilson got nabbed at third. But then also having first and second one out, not being able to cash in. Definitely just some early opportunities that went by the wayside, and definitely was interesting to see what Dollander had. It definitely was a mixed bag, but you can see what the hype is going to be about. Hopefully that's someone the Rockies can really lean on. But congrats to Chase Dollander for making his MLB debut and going 5 pretty strong innings all in all. But now for the now for the A's, it is on to San Diego, back home in Sacramento. But did want to mention before we get on out of here, one little thing of note is that Jacob Wilson did go 1 for 4 on Sunday. So that does he does have a 10-game hitting streak to start the season, which passes his father's personal best of starting a year, where he had 9 games in a row to start off from opening day on. Jacob Wilson surpassed his father, Jack Wilson, former Pittsburgh Pirate infielder. So very excited. I'm sure he'll have that little tidbit for him, or maybe he'll save it for a rainy day when he needs to talk a little trash to Pops. Anyway, very cool. That's just cool to see baseball families connect like that and be in the history books together. Just wanted to make a note of that. And hope Wilson keeps this impressive start going over the course of 162. Definitely a lot to like there. And with that, let's get to our 3 stars before we get on to San Diego. So, like I mentioned, until we get into the groove of things, and remember the format, we are going to start with 3rd star and work our way down to our 1st star. So, for this series, 3rd star, we said that Lawrence Butler, right fielder, he definitely had a series to really start getting going with the bat. He went 7 for 14, which is good for a 500 batting average with a home run, 2 RBIs, and a double. Our 2nd star, and we did go back and forth between Butler, 3rd star, and this guy for 2nd, but we do think because of the significance of the series and what it meant to the series, I do think that is why we went in this direction. So for our 2nd star, we chose J.P. Sears for his 6 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 3 runs, 2K performance, as that 3rd inning really made or broke this series. And without Sears bearing down there and keeping the Rockies from turning that into a potentially 5-6, who knows, kind of game, and kept it 3-0, allowed the A's an opportunity to fight back in those middle innings, and then the 6th too as well. I think without that, the Rockies might win this series. So I do think that's how important that inning was. So just can't shout out J.P. Sears enough. Another quality start under his belt. Definitely excited to see what his 2025 turns into. And our 1st star, of course, he makes our top 3 stars once again, but I do think this is his first star. Shortstop Jacob Wilson, who went 4 for 13 in the series with 1 home run and 5 RBIs. But of note, he had 3 go-ahead hits in this series, so that's why he rounds out our 3 stars as our first star, and very excited to see the number 1 prospect off to a great start. To me, you can't even call him that anymore, and I know it's only April, but to me, he is one of the regulars, and to me, he's been their most valuable hitter so far, and that's not to take away from Butler heating up and what Rooker's accomplished as well as Langoliers, but I do think just with this runner in scoring position success, Jacob Wilson has been Mr. Clutch. All right, before we get on to our San Diego series preview, let's take a quick break to thank our partner, Visit Mesa, by reading a quick ad, and then we'll get right into the preview. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. All right, welcome to Mesa, Arizona, a destination for every season. Experience a destination where adventure, culture, and culinary experiences are limitless. As the gateway to the stunning Sonoran Desert and Tonto National Forest, Mesa invites you to explore its scenic waterways, kayak through winding canyons, or paddleboard along the Salt River. For a one-of-a-kind desert adventure, ride the waves at Revel Surf at Cannon Beach, the country's first surf park of its kind. Downtown Mesa is a vibrant hub home to the Mesa Arts Center, public art, award-winning breweries, and local shops. Food lovers can explore the fresh foodie trail and the diverse flavors of Mesa's Asian district. Sports fans can experience MLB spring training with the Chicago Cubs and Athletics, or visit one of North America's largest youth sports complexes as the world's first autism-certified city. Mesa is dedicated to accessibility and inclusivity for all visitors. City limitless, Mesa. Be sure to get down there ASAP. You'll be glad you did. Okay. With that, let's get to our series preview as we are talking about the Athletics welcoming the San Diego Padres to Sutter Health Park. First pitch is scheduled to start 7:05 Pacific time. But before we get into specifics, you got to know thy enemy. So let's talk a tiny bit about the San Diego Padres. So they are off to an 8-2 hot start to kick off the 2025 year. Their manager, they are led by Mike Shildt. They did win 7 in a row to kick off the 2025 campaign. They started by sweeping a 4-game series, and these were all at home. 4-game series against the Atlanta Braves, and followed that up by sweeping a 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians. Followed that up, their most recent series, they went to Chicago, the Windy City, and lost 2 out of 3. Do think the Cubs are just rolling. Nevertheless, Padres rolling with winning 8 out of their first 10, and I'm sure they're looking forward to see what the launching pad of Sutter Health Park may offer their prowess. Because how about this? They are 3rd in team average with a .285 batting average. They are 20th in home runs. They've only hit 8, and they are 9th in runs scored with 46, and 2nd in stolen bases with 18. So they definitely expect an offense that I do think can put up some runs, some production. You wonder if there'll be more fireworks from both teams in this 3-game series. Team ERA, they are 3rd with a 2, and this is all of MLB, with a 2.76 ERA. They are 7th in strikeouts with 90. They have walked the 4th most in the league with 44. So patience is a virtue for this A's lineup. They may get some free passes to increase opportunities to score some more runs. Some hitters to watch. Fernando Tatis Jr., he is hitting .368 on the year with a home run and 6 RBIs. Jackson Merrill is hitting .378 to kick off the year with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. And Manny Machado, their third baseman, he hasn't homered yet, but he's got 3 doubles and he's got 2 runs batted in. So those are just 3 names to keep an eye on. They do have some more talent littered up and down that lineup. This is one of your better teams in the NL, but potentially in all of Major League Baseball. Let's get to the pitching matchups. Game 1, like I mentioned, 7:05, first pitch tonight. A very good pitching matchup. If you're going to watch any of these games, I would recommend tuning into this one. Michael King versus Luis Severino. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night at Sutter Health Park, 7:05, first pitch. Dylan Cease will be toeing the slab against Jeffrey Springs. Another solid pitching performance there. And to wrap up this 3-game series on Wednesday, it is a day game, 12:35 at Sutter Health. Randy Vasquez will be going up against Osvaldo Bido. So let's get to know these pitchers that the A's are going to be stepping in against starting tonight. First, of course, will be right-handed pitcher Michael King. He does work with a 5-pitch mix, his fastball, change, sweeper. Those are his 3 main pitches, but he also works in a sinker and slider too as well. He is in the 90th percentile according to Baseball Savant with a 40K percentage. That is pretty elite. He is an extreme ground ball pitcher, mixing in that fastball that has downward action, but also works in that sinker to get you to top it to his active infield. He does run that heater to both sides of the plate, so it's really hard to sit on one particular location and really be able to make that a weakness for him. The only time is if he gets a little bit elevated, maybe doesn't have as much tight command with his stuff as usual. You can get to him, but the nights that happen are seldom and few in between. He does have an absolute nasty sweeper. I've seen it to righties. It starts at the hip and will end up on the corner or sometimes a little bit further outside and just making right-handed hitters flail just because it has that much vertical break. It does have a 93.3 average fastball velocity thus far this year, but he does tick that up to like 96, 97, see 98 out of him too as well. He is absolutely a tough customer. Not much history in terms of with the current A's hitters as compared to this next, or similar to the next guy that the A's will have to face, which is right-handed pitcher Dylan Cease, formerly of the Chicago White Sox. He does have a 6-pitch mix, a slider, fastball, changeup, curveball, sinker, sweeper. Does average 96.6 miles per hour on his fastball, so that ranks in the 86th percentile of all of MLB so far this year. So he definitely brings a little bit more gasolina on that fastball. Also has a high percentage of he's a high percentage strikeout guy. He ranked 82nd in the 82nd percentile according to Baseball Savant with a 32.6% K rate. His slider is absolutely nasty. Has that 12-6 movement, so it does look like a curveball, but actually is considered a slider based on the tumble direction. He is high velo. He has touched 100 too as well. The one weird thing about him, he has less arm side run than your typical right-handed hitter, so it's going to come more right at you. Maybe move like more with cutting action. The one way that you can get to him, he will cause his own trouble and cause his own traffic. Sometimes that command will escape a little bit, and that is typical of guys that have higher velo and pitch. His pitches just move so much that sometimes it's difficult for him to rein it in consistently. So it's almost like a blessing and a curse for him. Having all that movement is amazing, and it has gotten so many major league hitters out on a very consistent basis. But there are just sometimes, that slider is going to move a little too much. That fastball might dart up and out a little bit too. So if the A's are struggling to have a lot of offensive production against a guy like Cease, maybe all you got to do sometimes is wait him out and let him drive up that pitch count by working walks. This team has walked the 4th most hitters in baseball, and I know Cease usually does have a higher walk rate. So that is something to keep in mind in terms of game planning against him. He's just another tough customer, really one of the better pitchers in baseball. Notable A's history, though. Miguel Andujar is 2 for 5 with a double off of Cease, and Tyler Soderstrom is 1 for 3. He did homer off of him, so just something to keep in mind moving forward. And finally, the Game 3 starter for the San Diego Padres will be right-handed pitcher Randy Vasquez, who also does work with a 6-pitch mix. His cutter, curveball, sweeper, fastball, sinker, and change. Has a 92.5 mile an hour fastball velocity. He ranks in the 90th percentile according to MLB Savant in terms of hard hit percentage, only being at 23.3. Just means he gives up a lot of soft contact, doesn't get hit all that hard, at least to kick off this year. He has average command. It comes and goes. When it's on, it's on. When it's not, it's not. So it's pretty noticeable there. He does have above average fastball spin, which does make that 92.5 average fastball make it look a lot more unhittable. And it looks like it's really considered what you would call a heavy fastball. He has offers a strong 10-5 curveball. Changeup needs to improve a little bit. Just some brief history there. J.J. Bleday is 2 for 3 on him. So if you play MLB's Beat the Streak, maybe that'll be a day I'll be playing J.J. Bleday to get that hit to keep it going. Stay tuned for that. All right. In this series, I got 3 A's players to watch. One, haven't heard a lot from this guy. And I do think you're going to see more of him this series with 3 right-handed pitchers scheduled to toe the slab. I want to see with Seth Brown get it going a little bit. Seen him work some walks, seen him drive it like minimally, but not a ton of success. I do think he's just had limited opportunities. Being the 4th outfielder, that is going to be something that happens. But I do think he's going to contribute something this series. I don't know why. As I was contemplating our discussion of just the expectations and what to expect throughout the series with the Padres in town, I just had a feeling Seth Brown's going to have a big home run or a big double, something. He's going to do something. So keep an eye on him. I could be way off here, but just have that feeling against the right-handed pitchers scheduled to throw. Second, I just said the A's pitching staff as a whole. I want to see what adjustments they make their second home series of 2025. The first one, they kind of seemed like a shock, and I know they even interviewed Luis Severino saying it's just an adjustment for everyone to make, that they don't necessarily have the same resources that they would as a normal full-size Major League ballpark stadium. So you wonder if that mentality is still going to be there as they still are adjusting to their new home. But I do think just the elevated pitches and needing to work more downhill on that tilt of the mound. I wonder if they're just going to have to change up their arsenal a little bit because it does play like a launching pad. I mean, the weather wasn't even that hot in Sacramento during that first series, and yet the ball was flying off those Cubbies bats too as well. So you'd love for them to bounce back. Don't want to have another 35-9 lopsided outing. Looking to see the A's at least give their guys a chance offensively to launch it out of their pad. So stay tuned for that. See if the A's make any improvements to improve their home performance. And third, Jacob Wilson. He's the hot commodity in this lineup right now. And, the hotshot rookie playing shortstop every day, making some cool plays. See if he can continue that 10-game hitting streak to start off his 2025. But just love when a streak gets going, how long it can go. And, a couple tough customers. It's going to be good experience for Wilson to dig in against King and Cease. Would love to see if he can rise to the occasion, or if they may get the best of him now they got a little bit more tape on him. We'll see what this young hitter does to keep moving forward and keep showing the high-level promise that he continues to produce for this A's team early on. Okay, we are going to make our home run prediction, our series prediction, and then we'll get on out of here and let you get prepared for another series of A's games to begin tonight. Home run prediction, I think we gave it away a few minutes ago. But nevertheless, we're making a bold one here because we don't even know what days he'll be in the lineup. Could be a pinch hitting opportunity, but we believe that Seth Brown is going to homer in this series. He's going to get his first one of the year. I do think, he's just missed on a couple. I remember seeing a couple foul homers. Being back at home in Sacramento, I'm feeling it's time for Brownie to get going a little bit. So Seth Brown, we select you for our home run prediction during this 3-game series. And in terms of series prediction, we are going to be as real as possible because that is the only way that we build trust with each and every one of you. And we don't want to be any just unforeseen bias without any facts to back it up. So with that, we're going to keep it real. We are going to predict a series loss on this one. We do think the Padres will get 2 out of 3 in this one. I do think that Cease and King are going to be a little too much to handle. So we think that the Padres will win 5-1 in Game 1. They'll win 9-3 for Game 2. And I do think the A's will win a slugfest 8-6 for Game 3. I think they'll get to Vasquez. He'll lose his command a little bit. And I do think Beto will have another good performance. I do just think the Padres might get some runs on the bullpen because it does seem like it's going to be hard to keep offense down over the course of a full 9 at Sutter Health Park. So, again, we predict 2 out of 3 for the Padres. Hopefully the A's can prove us wrong. So far, we are 2-1 in series predictions, and we are 2-1 in home run predictions too as well. So if you're keeping track at home, mark it down. We've got Seth Brown for our home run prediction, and we've got the Padres winning 2 out of 3 in this one. So with that concludes another edition of A's Day. It's been such a joy that baseball season is back and talking about everything A's. Appreciate you spending a little bit of your Monday with us. Again today, At the beginning of the episode, we recapped what went down in Denver against those Colorado Rockies as the A's won their first series of 2025, winning 2 out of 3. And then we talked about what to expect, a little preview against the San Diego Padres, who are in Sacramento to kick off a 3-game series at Sutter Health Park. We predicted Seth Brown to hit a home run in this series and for the Padres to take 2 out of 3. But of course, we are hoping for the green and gold to prove us wrong. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. We appreciate all of the fan support. Enjoy the A's baseball, and hopefully our next podcast, we're talking about a series win. Ole Toledo, let's go A's.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.